lights are out and you stumble in the dark. You kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds. And when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me.
All right, welcome. Season 53, round number 3 here at IRP, Western States Racing League. You got Chris Murphy and Liam Erbig in the booth tonight. How you doing tonight, Liam?
Fantastic. I am excited here. We are racing at IRP. It's gonna be fun. Not quite the big track that NASCAR Cup Series and of course the IndyCar Series races at, but nonetheless, all the thrills will be here. 20 trucks look to be ready to rock and rumble here.
Yeah, last week we were here for round 2 at Dover. Caution-free, green to checkered. Well, I'd be really surprised if we saw that here at IRP tonight. We did see some good side-by-side practice, but we also saw some roughing them up there a little bit in practice too. You think we can go 55, 60 laps, green flag here at IRP tonight?
Well, it's definitely going to be tough, but if anybody's going to be able to do it, it's going to be these guys on Tuesday night, Western States Racing League. Like you said, caution-free last week and a dominant performance out of Lyle Swearingen, getting himself a race win, but I don't know if we're going to see the green flag stops that we saw last week.
Yeah, we're just wrapping up qualifying right now, and Lyle Swearingen on the pole at the moment with a 21.49, just a hundredth of a second off of that pole versus Jacob Jensen at a 21.50. We got about a minute left to go in qualifying. A couple trucks still out on the track. We have Andrew Schulte now. He showed up kind of late. Didn't see him in practice at all, but he is out there on the track trying to put a lap down. We'll take a quick look at the point standings after 2 rounds. Western States Racing League Tuesday Night Series Craftsman truck. Last week's winner, Lyle Swearingen, jumped up and took the point lead. 83 points, just 1 point behind Chris Samard. Bentley Glazier third, Ryan Steele fourth, Bob Beltrami Back there in the 5th spot, we go back to 6. It's Brian Barnes, Chad Stearns, Julian Ricci, Jacob Jensen. If we look back, Chad Stearns are in that 7th position, week 1 winner here for the Western States, but had a little trouble last week, ended up disconnecting some technical issues, and that forced him to lose that top spot in the points all the way down to 7th. So let's see if he can rebound here tonight. As we're getting ready to wrap qualifying up, we got about 20 seconds left to go. Ryan Steele now out on the track trying to put down a second lap.
Yeah, Steele, we talked to him a little bit. He shows up a little bit later to these practices than he would like to, just because of his schedule. But today it was really last minute. So we're gonna see what he can pull throughout the course of this race, trying to get some more practice, learn what these tires are going to do throughout the course of a longer run.
So
that's going to do it for qualifying here at Lucas Oil Indianapolis Raceway Park.
So we're getting ready to get gridded up. Let's see if we can pull up the lineup here tonight. So on the front row, your last week's winner and points leader, Lyle Swearingen. Outside in the 64 truck, Jacob Jensen.
We've got Butch Davis for FBR Motorsports with Chris Samard to his outside.
Starting in the 5th position, inside of row number 3, Bob Beltrami, the Beltrami Salami, and outside of him in the 13 truck this week was running number 4 for the last couple of weeks. Brian Barnes starting in 6th.
Yeah, David Weaver in 7th place, and then champion just a couple of seasons ago, Andrew Schulte makes his way up into 8th position.
Wayne Hutchison, a previous winner here at IRP for the Western States Racing League here, and John Kenyon starting outside of him in that 10th spot.
Yeah, Todd Miles, followed by Bentley Glazer, had a strong run last week, but
we go back to the 13th.
He will start.
Sorry about that. Liam's go back to the 13th spot inside of row number 7. Earl Weaver outside of him. No practice. We're going to call him no practice. Ryan Steele starting in 14th.
Julian Ricci and Dustin Burns making up row number 8.
Back row number 9 in that 17th spot, it's Kyron Brigelli, and outside it's Scott Kukas starting in 18th in the 242 truck.
Scott Brown and Keith Kelman are going to round out the field. 20 trucks ready to rock and rumble. We'll see if all 20 take the starting flag.
We are getting gridded up right now. You can see the trucks lined up on pit road. Lyle Swearingen out here on the front with that good-looking number 68 Mountain Dew truck. Butch Davis are right behind him, starting in 3rd. Butch has been really strong, looked good last week until a late race black flag on a speeding penalty into the pit's going to send him back. And he ended up with a good rebound back into the top 10, but I thought he had a chance to win last week. Unfortunately got docked there late in the race. $160 laps here. Go ahead there, Liam.
Yeah, 160 laps here. These trucks are pulling off. We'll have 2 pace laps here with the short track configuration. Looks like Kieran Vergelli and Keith Kelman are not going to take the start here. Scott Kukas quite possibly going to start from the pits. Keep an eye on that as we move forward.
So we're expecting, if our math is correct, which it never is, 80% fuel load. They start. If they can stay clean and green throughout, we're looking probably pit stops about lap 55 to 60. That would be unexpected, but like Liam said earlier, if anybody can do it, it's the Western States Racing guys. These guys have been together for 25 plus years now. They've ran a lot of laps together, and they've always put on some really clean racing.
We'll see what these guys can do on the cold tires. Pace truck coming up off of turn number 2, getting ready to make that hard left turn. Lyle Swearingen led a lot last week, and he's getting this race started in a very, very familiar position. He's got Jacob Jensen to his outside, very, very close in qualifying, but not quite enough to take the pole. The pace truck in. These guys ready to roll, ready to push that gas pedal down. As they come up out of turn number 4, green flag is in the air. Race 3, season 53 is underway.
Last word, and inside, down on the inside, down on the bottom, but that preferred lines up on the outside. Jacob Jensen's got a good run off of 2. Let's see if he can clear Swearingen down this back straightaway, take that line away from him. We got a little contact back there in the back. It looked like it might have been the 16 truck of David Weaver, but it looks like he's getting it straightened out back there. We're all still running clean and green. We'll jump back up here to the front, and Swearingen up to the front, but here comes Jensen with a nice move down on the bottom and slides right up in front of the leader.
Big time slider attempt there by Jacob Jensen. A little bit of contact coming out of 2. That was set up when Lyle Swearingen got a little bit loose coming up off of turn number 4. There's going to be contact side by side for the lead. Door banging coming up off of turn number 4 as they come around to complete lap number 2.
Swearingen and Jensen now fighting it back and forth. You saw Swearingen get down on that little bit of a transitional banking. It gets into the left rear quarter there. Gets Jensen sideways. He's going to get it straightened out, though. Actually, Swearingen kind of got him a little sideways there, but also saved him at the same time. So we're still going straight here. Jensen's only going to lose 1 spot into the fence once again.
He's in the wall now, coming up off of turn number 4.
He is going to have
heavy hit.
Yeah, it looks like he might have some right front damage, or he's starting to back off. He's down now about 5th or 6th positions. Keeps falling back through the field, but he's trying to gather it back up here, and it looks like he's pushing forward.
He's definitely trying to push forward, but that truck seems to be pushing a lot. He's on the outside racing for 5th place. Andrew Schulte moves down to his inside, takes away 4th. And this all started with a very aggressive dive bomb going into turn 2. These guys racing hard here at the beginning. The 68 got a little bit loose coming out of turn number 4. Allowed the 64 a run, and he sent it all the way down to the bottom.
It looks like he's getting it back together. You're right. I think there's a little bit of damage to that right front. You can see the truck kind of pushing a little bit in the middle of the corner, but it looks like he's making some adjustments to it. He's going to hold on to that 5th position right now. So we started off with a good battle with Swearingen and Jensen side by side. They've kind of settled in here. And as I say that, here comes Butch Davis up on the inside of Lyle Swearingen, and he is going to lead lap number 6.
Yeah, you can tell that 68, if you look at that right front, he's got a little bit of a crinkle there. That damage, not treating his truck as perfect as he would want to. He's going to take a few laps to breathe, let these guys wear down their stuff in front of him as Butch Davis takes over the race lead. Chris Simard is hot on his tail. Swearingen almost into the wall as he's under fire from Schulte in P3. Schulte going to try to slide up coming out of this corner. The 68's just going to let him have it.
Yeah, we zoomed into that right front suspension cam on there on Swearingen, and you could actually see just a little, that looks like that right front fender kind of smashed in on the tire. So it looks like that is enough damage that it's slowing him down a little bit as he's falling back into the clutches of Jacob Jensen for that 4th and 5th spot.
Yeah, it's really early on, not even 10 laps complete yet. I would have questioned whether or not that was going to be nerve-wracking with those guys getting close together, but this early on in the show, I think cooler heads are going to prevail. Now, maybe later on in the race, if they were to see each other, they might use the bumpers a little bit more, but for now, Jacob Jensen going to drive it all the way down to the bottom. Swearingen doesn't want to give this one up, though.
No, Swearingen and Jensen now, they were fighting a little bit of squeeze into the fence there. And
they're going to wreck each other. Head on into the wall goes Lyle Swearingen and Jacob Jensen.
It looked like Jensen kind of leaned on Swearingen a little bit, and Swearingen kind of turned down the racetrack and caught the right rear quarter of the 64 truck, spinning them both around. We'll jump back and take a look here.
Yeah, I was just getting ready. I was just saying that cooler heads were going to prevail.
Let's see if we jump back here just a little bit further. Didn't quite go back as far as I wanted. You can see him come off the back straightaway there. A little bit of contact and a little more contact as they get into the corner, and the 64 of Jensen and the 68 of Swearingen both into the outside wall hard. Our 2 front row starters, we're fighting it out for the lead early. Both going to have to use their quick repair to get back out on the track. They're still going to lose a few laps, and it looks like the 46 truck there of Earl Weaver also makes some contact with Swearingen.
Yeah, this started, these guys obviously raced each other really hard in the first couple of laps, but getting down into turn number 1, that slide job attempt, Swearingen didn't want to give that position up. Jensen, I think he just wanted to take it. When they came up off of turn number 2, there was just enough space for 2 trucks. Not enough space for a piece of paper. I don't know.
All right, looks like we might be back here.
Well, here we come up off of turn number 4. It's going to be the first restart of the day. Green flag comes out on lap number 15, and Butch Davis going to drive us down into turn 1. Andrew Schulte all the way down on the inside. He's going to try to take the lead. Almost contact coming up off of turn 2 from second and third place. These guys going to drive it down into turn 3 pretty clean throughout most of the field. Still some side-by-side action. Most of the top 6 are going to get in line now.
Yeah, apologize for the interruption there. We had looks like some software issues kind of kicked us out. We're back live again. Butch Davis fighting back for the lead up on the outside of the 81 truck of Andrew Schulte.
Oh, it's going to be tough. The longer we go, it's going to be tougher and tougher to make passes on that inside. It's kind of a progressively banked racetrack here. It's not quite to the extreme that a track like Bristol is or Homestead, but right below that first dashed line, there's that seam, and below that you actually drop down to virtually zero banking. So there's going to be just a little bit less grip down there, making it tougher to complete a pass. Oh, spin, turn 2, the 88 into the wall. John Kenyon. It's turned around. Caution comes out for the second time today.
NOS 88. Sorry about that. I was just kind of getting some settings, my stuff set back up here. Thanks for covering there for a while there, Liam. Appreciate it, buddy. We were able to just jump over, catch that crash. We'll jump back here and see what happened here to John Kenyon. We're under our second caution now. It looks like let's see here. Oh, little help from the 12 truck there. I couldn't really tell if Kenyon started to come down the racetrack or they just kind of met in the middle. But just enough of contact in that left rear quarter to turn Kenyon up into the wall.
Yeah, that was a relatively harmless wall contact in comparison to what we saw earlier on in the show. See a little bit of a crinkle down to that left rear, but I'm pretty sure he can come down the pits, just get that pulled out a little bit. Might need to take a set of tires here, but he might be able to hold on to him. It just kind of depends. You got 4 sets, so
that's what I was going to say. Only 4 sets of tires. Do you want to use a set this early? Only 20 laps into 160 laps. What do you think?
You'd have to make the other 2 sets last a little bit longer, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
Exactly. Yeah. If you're back here in the back, maybe take a set of tires now. See if you can make up some ground. Get back up towards the front. But it looks like all of our leaders going to stay out. Looking here at the 04 truck of Dustin Burns. Back up to our leaders and I with Butch Davis and Andrew Schulte. Schulte started back in 8th, already up 6 spots.
Yeah, that's not a bad accomplishment here. Only 20 laps complete in this race. We're working lap number 21. And Andrew Schulte, like I mentioned, he won the championship, I believe, season 50 for these guys. Just a couple of seasons ago, though, so he is definitely going to be with it when it comes to rocking and rolling in these trucks. That 81 machine looks stout. That 77 on the inside, too. Looking pretty strong, Chris Samard. He started in 4th. He's only up 1 spot from where he started, but
it seems like just about every race that we've done with WSRL, you see Samard somewhere up towards the front, somewhere in the top 5. Always with a chance to be up on the podium. See if he can hang on here at IRP with these guys.
He's good at that. Another one that I want to watch here, though, is that 12 of Ryan Steele. Obviously saw him make that contact. But he's up 7 spots from starting in 14th. Let's see if he can continue that momentum forward.
Lights are out on the pace truck. Coming off a turn 4 pace truck in. Butch Davis bringing him to the line. Let's see if he can get a jump on Schulte. He does get Butch Davis with a good restart there. He gets a good truck length over Schulte. But Schulte dives back into the bottom, going under 1. Let's see if he's going to slide up off of 2. They're going to come off of 2 side by side, Schulte and Davis.
Oh, we've seen this before on the first start of the race. Schulte all the way down to the inside, gonna try to slide up, but the 43 just a little bit too strong through the center of the corner. He's gonna have the momentum coming up off, but Schulte fights hard. He's gonna keep his nose down there on the bottom, dive it down in once again, slides up the racetrack, gets back on the banking, tries to power it down, but Butch Davis on the outside just a little too strong. Or is he? They're dead even going into turn 3.
Schulte doing a good job down in that bottom. You can see him kind of down on that flat part of the racetrack, working his way up into the middle, making Davis run up against the wall where he probably doesn't want to be that far up the racetrack. But Davis now down into the middle, but Schulte still fighting back here, trying to get a run off of 2 down the back straightaway. Davis, Schulte, Simard, the top 3. You could throw a blanket over him right now.
Here comes Schulte looking up to the outside. He's going to try to get himself a run coming up off of turn 4. Based on just those couple of laps after the restart, it seems like Schulte's a little bit stronger in 1 and 2 than he is in 3 and 4. Now he gets right up next to that wall. Might have made a little bit of contact as Simard looks down to his inside, but isn't going to have the momentum. I think that 81 just a little bit better in 1 and 2 than he is in 3 and 4, though.
So Schulte now with his hands full of Simard, that 77 truck all over the back of the 81. Looking back there to 4th, Bob Beltrami looking really good here as well, up into the 4th spot. But your fight right now is with these top 3 with Davis, Schulte, and Simard. Schulte now looking to the outside off the corner, has to back off as Davis kind of pinches the nose off there down the back straightaway into turns number 3.
Yeah, Simard had himself a good opportunity to get the power down and potentially get his nose somewhere. But if he put that, one sideways up off of 4, saved it. But if he would have kept the power in, I think he would have nosed it into the fence. Better decision right there as he gets right to the rear bumper of that 43, and he sees the flaming Kingsford truck just behind him. He wants to make this pass so he can see if he can get away from him.
We jump to in the truck here with Schulte. See him fighting that wheel up off of 4. He's going to head down into 1 here. On the brakes hard to keep him running over the back of Butch Davis. Looks to the outside now. Let's see if he can get a little run off the top of 2 down the racetrack. Gets it a little bit loose. You can see him having to correct the truck. Gathers it back up, and he's holding on to that 2nd spot, giving Butch Davis all he can handle right now.
Yeah, you can tell he's using up a lot of right rear throughout the exit of these corners. You don't want to continue on that trend, because that's going to loosen up your truck throughout the course of the rest of the run. So still pretty early on in this thing. We're going to complete the 30th lap this time around. These guys, all 3, slipping and sliding. Here comes Simard looking down to the inside. We're going to see just how close they get coming up off of turn 4. Simard gives space, but Schulte uses the wall anyways.
Simard down there on that flat spot now as they come off of turn number 2. Simard with a little bit of a lead over Schulte here off of turn number 2 down the back straightaway, but is going to have to settle back up into that 3rd position. And if he gets down on that bottom a little bit too long, I think you're going to see Beltrami there up on the outside of the 77 truck, and he's going to have his hands full with that 14 of Bob Beltrami.
I think we're going to see guys scraping the wall coming up off of turn 4, and probably a decent amount through the middle of these corners. As a story throughout the course of the night, I believe Beltrami might have just tagged the wall coming up off of 4 that last time around. Doesn't seem to be any damage to that 14 Beltrami salami machine. Everybody clean that time around.
Looks like he's got it gathered up. Back up here to the front, Butch Davis, you're still your leader. Andrew Schulte in second. The 81's Chris Simard, Bob Beltrami, Brian Barnes rounding out the top 5 right now. Ryan Steele up 8 spots now. Started back in 14th. We look back here to Ryan Steele, now up to 6 as he is on the back of the 13 truck of Brian Barnes trying to take the 5th spot away.
I will take a moment to go through the field here a little bit. Butch Davis, Andrew Schulte, Chris Simard, Bob Beltrami. We've talked a lot about them, but Brian Burns is one of 2 drivers in this race who has actually gotten a checkered flag here in this series at this track. Only the 4th time, as Chris mentioned in the beginning of the show, only the 4th time that the WSRL Truck Series has raced at IRP. Brian Barnes has one of those wins, and now we talked about Ryan Steele, up 6 or 8 spots from where he started, as we've got a pass for the lead. Here comes Schulte down to the inside.
Little loose opportunity. Did a good job of keeping the truck off of the 43. You can see Schulte come off of turn 2. The truck got a little bit loose on him. He kind of walked it up the racetrack a little bit, but kept it off the left side door of the 43 of Butch Davis, and Butch Davis back to the front. Now look at Simard up on the outside in that primary line outside of Schulte here. Let's see if he can get second away. Schulte able to find a gap and get back up into that groove.
Schulte really wants this race lead, but how much is he going to do to those rears trying to get past the 43 in front of him? This is the longest green flag run that we've seen all day, and while I said at the beginning, I don't think we're going to see green flag pit stops. You want to stay close to that leader, and if strategy's going to come into play, you want to be in the perfect opportunity to pounce. Maybe he makes a mistake, maybe you get to those pit stops and you do it an undercut or overcut better. But either way, you don't want to find yourself in a compromising position this early on in the race. This makes the move down to the inside once again, almost a little bit of contact, but just can't complete the pass on the inside.
Schulte doing everything he can to get around Butch Davis, but a good point there, Liam. Has he used up his tires? Is he using up his stuff early? He's doing a good job of hanging on to the back of the 43, but Schulte is definitely the fastest truck on the racetrack right now. If he can find his way to the front, I think he'd put a gap on the 43 truck of Butch Davis. But Butch doing a good job of holding his line and making Schulte fight for every inch.
We saw how effective the slide job was at the beginning of these runs, but now as the tires start to wear down, it's been about 15 laps that we've run consecutively under green now. These guys are really starting to feel the wear and tear of what these trucks are doing to them. I know Schulte's used up a lot of right rear because he's gotten sideways coming up off of these corners pretty routinely. We haven't had as good of a look at what the 43 is doing up off of the corner. It doesn't seem like he's able to drive away quite yet, and maybe that's by design. Schulte continues to try to poke his nose in there, find himself in the rearview mirror of the 43. Maybe make him just a little bit nervous to make that pass. Is he going to get it done coming up off of 4? Not quite. He's got to let off the throttle.
It looked like Davis maybe pushed up just a little bit and had to lift to keep the truck out of the wall. That gave Schulte a little run off the corner, but Davis able to recover off of 2, gather the truck back up and get back to the point. I see Butch a lot of times, a lot of different tracks. You'll see him running a little bit higher up the racetrack than just about everybody else. And he's doing that here at IRP as well. He's a little closer to the fence, and he's getting some good momentum off the corner.
I think he might have scraped the fence in the middle of the corner that time in 3 and 4. Schulte working the middle to bottom side of the racetrack, trying to get something going. Almost a little more contact between these guys. This is short track racing, beating and banging at its finest. As the sun goes down, the lights are coming on. These truckers are getting it all done, everything that they can. We
jump in the truck here with Chris Simard with a great view here of this battle right in front of him. I think Chris feels like he's probably a little bit faster than these guys, but he's got nowhere to go. Just hoping somebody can clear one of the others so he can follow him through, but it's still a great battle here with Davis and Schulte. Schulte to the point at the moment. Let's see if he can clear Butch Davis. He's not going to do it. They're still side by side down the French roadway into turn number 1.
No, but this is the best he's looked getting into 1. These guys rubbing doors just a little bit more. Coming up off of turn 2, just about even. I think if Schulte can keep this up, if he can stay even, keep inching forward, he might be able to complete this pass. Coming up off of turn 4, Schulte leads that lap. Here comes Simard trying the bottom to make it 3 wide.
Simard gets down on that flat part of the racetrack and just loses all that momentum, has to slide back up, loses about a truck length, but here he comes fighting his way back in here. Back there, he's got kind of his choice of line back there where Davis and Schulte are stuck side by side. Simard can kind of run around where he wants, and you can see him make some ground back up there after losing a couple truck lanes.
And Andrew Schulte jumped up to the top of the track momentarily. Big slide coming out of turn number 2. Going to cost him the position he had gained on Butch Davis and almost allowed Simard to get back to his outside. Now Simard trying the inside once again, coming up off of turn 4. He's doing a really unique line compared to what the rest of these guys are doing. Entering way up on the top, cutting down in the middle of the corner to get all of it as straight as he possibly can, and using up all the bottom side of the racetrack.
That is usually a really good short track groove. If you can get in high, come off low, and just kind of use that banking to give you a little extra momentum coming off the corner. That's exactly what Simard's doing there. As you said, entering high in the racetrack, diving down off the bottom, and that just coming down that banking. Even though there's not a lot of banking here at IRP, but it's still enough as you can see the momentum he gains off the corners.
Speaking of momentum, Ryan Steele with the momentum to get around Bob Beltrami. That puts him up into 4th. He's going to try to close in on this battle. He's up 10 spots from the start as first and third get up into the wall just a little bit. Schulte still fighting hard on the bottom. These guys just about an inch from each other in the middle of turns 1 and 2, but not giving any more than they can or have to.
Almost 3 wide here as we get into turn 3. They are 3 wide. Samard down on the bottom thinks the better, but backs out just a little bit. Schulte now edging just a little bit in front of Davis. They come across the line, and Davis is going to lead at the line there as we start lap number 51.
Big slider here by Schulte. He goes all the way to the top of the racetrack. Butch Davis crosses over. Can he get the momentum? Dead even down the back straightaway. Caution is out. Earl Weaver. Earl Weaver's had a problem.
Caution's always ruined some of the best racing. I think Davis is going to have the lead as a caution comes out. Great move there by Schulte to grab the lead. He finally was able to clear Davis. But a crash by Earl Weaver, we'll jump over and take a quick look at it, is going to put an end to a great race we had going on up front.
Oh, that's...
I didn't quite catch that. Kind of got lost behind the camera there.
It's like Todd Miles in the 62. And the 46 of Butch, or not Butch, sorry, that's Earl Weaver make contact. Into the inside wall goes Todd Miles, and that's actually what brought out the caution.
So our third caution here at IRP for the Western States Racing League. I would not be surprised if we start seeing a few pit stops here, 53 laps in, and everybody down in the pits except for our leader, Butch Davis, stays out on the racetrack.
Did he miss the pits?
I'm not quite sure, but everybody else is coming down into the pits, and I think he might have just missed it, because now he's going to come in a lap later.
Ah, man, that's a disaster for the 43 team. Doing so good at the beginning of this race, fought so valiantly to hold on to the race lead. Unfortunately, going to cost him some very, very important track position.
All right, so we're going to take advantage. Third caution, and we're going to jump over and take a quick commercial, and we'll be back in about 2 or 3 minutes. And we'll keep you out on the picture-in-picture, so if anything exciting happens, we'll jump back in. So we'll be right back. All right, we're back to green flag. We're going to jump back over, cut that commercial just a little bit short. The bosses probably will be happy with us, but we're going to get back to some racing action here. We'll jump back up here to the front. Andrew Schulte now finds his way to the lead after our third caution. Butch Davis with a little error getting into the pit, so now Schulte out in front with Samard, Ryan Steele, Bob Beltrami, Brian Barnes rounding out the top three.
Julian Ritchie. Sideways down the back straightaway. He's going to stop it in the infield as the caution's going to come back out.
Caution for the fourth time here at IRP. We go caution free last week at Dover, and we're less than 60 laps into this race here at IRP, and we're already on our fourth caution. We'll see if we can see what happened to Ritchie here real quick. We'll jump back here, catch a replay. He's up on the outside of the 17 truck of Wayne Hutchison. He just lost it.
Yeah, it looks like he just got sideways on those colder tires, potentially.
Yeah, it looks like the truck just kind of got away from him there off of 2. Spins it down into the grass. And we are under caution now for the 4th time. Kind of go back through the field. We were talking during the commercial break. We haven't been able to really go back and through the field too much here in this race. It's been such a great racing up in the front. So we'll give some guys some camera time here that we haven't seen. So right now your leader Andrew Schulte in second, the 77 truck of Chris Samard, third. Ryan Steele up 11 spots, started back in 14th, now up to third. Bob Beltrami back in fourth. Brian Barnes in that 13 truck now up to fifth. Bentley Glazier. Bentley's another driver that we usually see up towards the front here at WSRL, running in the 6th spot. Wayne Hutchison, another previous winner here with WSRL at IRP in the Truck Series, now in 7th. We go back to 8th. David Weaver and our earlier leader, Butch Davis. Butch has led 47 laps of this race, finds himself back in 9th after a poorly timed pit stop. John Kenyon back in 10th. John spun out earlier in the race, finding his way back into the top 10. Back here in 11th, Scott Brown in the 18. Julian Ritchie, who just brought out our latest caution, back there in 12th spot. Dustin Burns in the number 04 in 13th. Earl Weaver, who was also involved in an earlier caution in the 46, back there in 14th. And I think that's all the trucks we have left on the track. Todd Miles, Lyle Swearingen, Jacob Jensen, Scott Kukas have all retired from the race. So we started out with 20. Actually, I think 18 took the green, didn't they, Liam?
17 took the green. Scott Kukas never... He gridded but never left the pits. And then Kieran Bergelli and Keith Kelman never got to the grid. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but since the caution came out on the first lap of a restart, the ensuing restart is now going to be single file. That means get your stuff together, boys. We're going to try this again. If we can't do it like grown-ups, we're going to be sad.
Andrew,
jokes aside, single file restart here with... Sorry, go ahead there, Chris.
No, you go right ahead. Bring us to the green, my friend.
Schulte, Samard, Steele, Beltrami, and Brian Barnes, your top 5. Everybody right up next to the wall. Green flag back in the air. The start looks a little bit cleaner, but Butch Davis not wasting any time trying to move down to the inside of David Weaver. Meanwhile, Andrew Schulte driving away from Chris Samard. Ryan Steele trying to stay close for second. Bob Beltrami lines up in 4th just behind Steele. Here comes Davis, though. Getting himself a nice run through the middle of the corner. He's going to clear himself up off. Good job getting that pass done. Moves him back up to 8th in front of David Weaver.
Keep an eye on Butch Davis to see if he can make his charge back through the field. As Liam said, now up to 8th. Restarted that caution back in 9th. Going to see if he can get back to the front. Like we said earlier, that's 47 laps of this race. Definitely one of the fastest trucks on the racetrack. Let's see if he can make his way through the field. It doesn't always matter sometimes if you're the fastest if you can't get around people, and this is a tough track to pass on.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it in that previous run, as Ryan Steele just posted the fastest lap of the race so far, 21:78. We were firmly under the belief that Andrew Schulte was the quicker truck, but it took him so long to complete that pass, and even when he completed it, that crossover worked right back into the favor of Butch Davis. Tough to pass trucks that are going to be equal to you. You don't want to wait throughout the course of the run for trucks to start falling back to you, but I don't know. You got to find yourself with that perfect setup.
Yes, Ryan, we talked earlier at the start of this race. Ryan Steele now up to 3rd, up 11 spots, starting back in 14th. Didn't stick. Kind of showed up late. Didn't really run much practice. Just comes to qualify. It's almost like he uses the early parts of these races in practice to get things dialed in. As he's charging his way to the front once again, Ryan Steele in that 12 truck.
And he's starting to close in on the back bumper of Chris Samard. But Samard is also closing in on the rear bumper of Andrew Schulte. That last time by a 10th quicker than your race leader. Brian Steele not too far behind.
Samard's finding himself a good line. You can see he's using up a little bit more of the racetrack than Schulte is. And he is working his way back up. There was about 0.2 of a second gap. Schulte's added a couple tenths to it here, but Samar doing everything he can to reel in the number 81.
Yeah, it's almost like the 81 was listening up here as soon as I said that there was faster trucks behind him. He put it into high gear, took a couple tenths off of the lap time, and
looks like that single file restart there coming back to green has kind of settled things down a little bit. We look back through the field, everybody's single file. Don't really see anybody side by side anywhere throughout the field. We are down to only, we got 14 trucks now on the racetrack. The 14th truck being Earl Weaver back there in the 46. But everybody kind of singled out here. I think we're just kind of shake the bugs out, get our nerves together here after a rattle with a few restarts and some caution laps. And we're on lap number 70 of 160 here at IRP with the Western States Racing League.
heard reports there might have been a little bit of contact between Julian Ritchie and John Kenyon. That's popped John out of the top 10. He's fallen back to 13th position.
That has to be the second incident the 88 of John Kenyon's been involved in, but no caution here. He just kind of falls back, lost a lot of ground there. Like you said, all the way back to 13th. If this was a super speedway, he would be out of the draft. But fortunately, here on the short track, you can make some ground up on your own. Jump back up
We've
here.
already potentially seen some tempers flaring. Might want to keep an eye on that when those guys get a little closer on the racetrack.
Yeah, earlier.
Andrew Schulte continues to lead. He's increasing that gap to about 3/4 of a second. Ryan Steele 1.3 seconds back. Bob Beltrami 2 seconds back. And Brian Barnes rounding out your top 5, 2.5 seconds back. This is without a doubt the largest spread that we've seen across the top 5 throughout the course of this race so far. But that 17, Wayne Hutchison and Butch Davis, Bentley Glazer, those are 3 strong names. Guys who have led a lot, guys who have won here, that could get closer and closer.
Yeah, Butch Davis found his way around the 87 of Bentley Glazer, works his way up into the 7th spot, and now he is putting pressure on the back of the 17 of Wayne Hutchison. And you can see Butch looks a little bit better through the center off, and he's able to make up a little bit of ground on that 17 as they come off of turn number 4. I would expect within just a couple of laps, we're going to see Butch take a look to the inside of that 17 to try to take away that 6th position.
Yeah, like you said, he's getting a run in the middle of the corner, but he's not quite getting what he wants to coming up off. He's going to send it in there, try to use that middle corner speed. But coming up off of the corner, it gets tight. Little bit of contact, sends the 43 back down. He's going to slide it in to turns 1 and 2 to try to complete that pass. He's going to have them cleared coming up off of turn number 2.
Butch Davis now back up to 6 after leading early, falling back just right outside, right into the top 10 after a caution flag earlier with a poor pit stop. Now back up to 6, and he sets his sights on the top 5 of the 13 truck of Brian Barnes.
Still got a long way to go, just under 5 seconds between him and the race leader, but there's a long way to go. Just approaching the halfway point in just a few laps. This is lap number 78 for Andrew Schulte in the race lead. And while we were taking a moment to watch that Butch Davis battle, Chris Simard has taken just a few more tenths out of your race leader, Andrew Schulte. It is now about half a second. Last time by, it was only 1/100th of a second difference in Simard's favor, but those can add up, and it definitely looks like he's running a different line than we're seeing out of your race leader. About half a lane up through the middle, and then cuts down to half a lane down, coming up on the exit. That time by a little bit more similar for the lines, and virtually equal lap times for your top 2.
You can see right there from this camera angle as they run into 3, Simard just drives that truck in a little bit deeper into turn number 3, and I think that's actually, it might be hurting him off a little bit as Schulte seems to get a little bit better run off the corner. But as we watch him here head off of turn number 2 down the back straightaway into 3, watch how far Simard drives his truck in, about 2 to 3 truck lengths deeper than Schulte is right now. But then Schulte kind of gains it back a little bit off the corner.
This is going to be a big lap for Chris Simard here. Those last couple of times around, they were virtually equal, but this time another 10th in the favor of Simard. The last 3 laps for the both of them, 23:36, 23:36, 22:36, 22:36, 22:43 for Andrew Schulte, 23:36, 23:37, 22, sorry. But it's a 33, a 37. Now I've confused myself. Either way, Chris Simard has now ran the last 5 laps within 3/100ths of a second of each other. Andrew Schulte has ran the last 5 laps within 1/10 of a second of each other. These guys are both showing incredible consistency at this point in the run, and now they're getting into lap traffic, which is going to throw off those consistent lines that these guys have been trying to use.
Look, we looked at Ryan Steele down on the bottom. Oh, there's a lap car. Sorry, I looked away for a second. Looked back at the screen. So back here to Chris Simard, they put a lap on the Earl Weaver truck, the number 46 truck. But like, as you were saying, just the consistency with these two guys up here at the front is just mind-boggling to run the laps that close over and over again on a little short track like this. The concentration it takes to do that is just something else.
It really does. I mean, we talked a little bit before we got live, just about how uncomfortable it might be to sit in these rigs for so long. I mean, some of these guys are out there putting over 200 laps of practice just to get out here and run 160 more laps. These guys are really putting in the work to try to be fast in this series, to try to get results, get performance out of these trucks. And I gotta say, the work that they're putting in is very visible. Now we're seeing a battle for 4th start to heat up amongst 3 trucks: Bob Beltrami, Brian Barnes, and Butch Davis.
Yeah, Butch Davis has done a good job of working his way up into this battle here for 4th and 5th. Ran down that 13 truck of Brian Barnes. Beltrami right now holding on to 4th right now, but it looks like both the trucks behind him a little bit quicker. Here comes Davis to the inside of Barnes as they head into turn number 1, coming off a 2. Let's see if Davis can find a little gap. He's going to do it. He's going to slide up in front of that 13 truck of Brian Barnes, take away the 5th position now, working his way to the front. Let's see if he can make quick work of Bob Beltrami here for that 4th spot.
Yeah, he can see that gap to Andrew Schulte getting larger and larger at this point. About 6 seconds. He wants to get some clean air in front of him so he can run his own laps, run his own line, not have to worry about anybody else. Still looking at another pit stop coming in this race. And, well, with the attrition that we've seen so far, with just 13 drivers on the lead lap, 14 still in the race, I'm not going to say it's probable, but I do think it's possible that these guys make their final pit stop under green. Here comes a big run for Butch Davis out of the corner. He's going to send it down to the inside, dives it down into turns 3 and 4, and Bob Beltrami, he's just going to say, hey, man, that was aggressive. You can have that for now.
Butch Davis going to win the battle right there. Bob Beltrami, I think, like you said, just kind of knows that there's a war at hand here. Going to kind of just let that battle go to Davis, back off a little bit. But Davis quickly puts about 4 to 5 truck lengths on him as well. So Davis charging to the front. Now sets his sights on the number 12 of Ryan Steele.
Not just, but a little bit. Little ways in front of Steele. Andrew Schulte, Chris Simard. That battle for the lead is heating up. It is now just about 0.2 of a second as Simard gets right to the rear bumper of Schulte. Late in this run, is the tires starting to wear down for the 81. Kind of talked about it a little bit on that previous long run when he was behind Butch Davis. He was using up a lot of right rear, but it didn't seem to be hurting that truck a whole heck of a lot.
Yeah, all these drivers pitted back on lap 52, so they got 40 laps now on these tires. And it does look like, even Simard was pushing pretty hard trying to catch Schulte there for quite a few, like last 10 or 15 laps, but it looks like maybe Simard has a little bit more tires left up underneath of him than Schulte does, as he's now right within about a truck length behind him now.
Simard's starting to run that line that he was running previously, sliding up in the middle of the corner and trying to cut down on exit. Didn't quite use it as much that time around. It's going to allow Schulte just a little bit more of a gap.
We're watching our fight here, the fight up here for the lead with Schulte and Simard, but we're keeping an eye on that battle back there between Butch Davis and Ryan Steele. Butch Davis about a second behind, but he is making up some ground on Steele in that third position, as you see him putting a lap here on the 18 truck of Scott Brown.
Yeah, going to try to make quick work of that 18 machine. Does so. Just under 6 seconds to the race lead behind Andrew Schulte. Is Butch Davis in the 43.
Let's get back.
Hear that throttle control.
Let's get back up here to the front. Samar taking a look up underneath Schulte as they head down into turn number 1. As we start lap number 96 of 160 WSRL. Did I say that right? WSRL. Season 53, week 3 here at IRP. I'm Chris Murphy, my good buddy Liam Ervig, here with Sim Racing Media. Getting some great racing going on tonight, all the way throughout. We've had 4 caution flags early, but we've settled in here. We've been under the green flag now for probably about the last 25 laps, maybe 30 laps now. And Samard has put up a charge here on Schulte, trying to take that lead away.
He's trying to get it done for sure, but it is tough to make a pass, especially later on these tires. These guys are almost a second off of what their fastest lap of the races were.
Is?
The fall off is real, and it's only going to get worse.
I would expect, like we said earlier, but they've pitted on lap 52. What are you thinking? Maybe about another 20 laps, and we're going to see some green flag stops?
I would say that'd be a good split. Here's Samard all the way down on the bottom. Gets a nice bite on quarter exit. He's going to slide it in there in turns 1 and 2 and take the race lead away from Andrew Schulte.
Chris Samard out of Plastow, New Hampshire, takes the lead. So Samard's going to be our 5th leader of the race. And he quickly puts about 5 truck lengths on Schulte there. So, as we said earlier, you don't always have to. I mean, you're not always. If you're the fastest trucks, you can run a guy down, but getting past him, and you can see once he cleared Schulte here, he's starting to put some distance on him real quick.
He definitely is. Meanwhile, Butch Davis closing in on Ryan Steele as these guys battling for the final podium spot. Butch Davis led a lot of laps early on. He's trying to get at least to where he started. He's closed in almost a second on Ryan Steele. Steele, obviously our biggest mover of the race, sitting in 3rd place, up 11 spots from where he started, trying to keep it 11 with that 43 charging hard behind him. Here he comes looking down to the inside. Not quite able to get the nose to the inside of Steele, but he is trying to establish himself in that rearview mirror of Ryan Steele.
Yeah, Butch Davis has made pretty quick work of just about everybody he's caught up to here as he's made his charge back to the front. You can see as they head down the back straightaway, going to tuck in up on the outside behind Steele. But I would expect as we get down into turn number 1, if Davis can get close enough here, he gets a good run off of 4. Let's see if he's got enough to take a dive into 1 down on the bottom. Steele's going to cover it off there a little bit. Davis catches a little bit of the wall there as he gets into the corner, loses just a little bit of ground.
Yeah, Steele's trying to defend while Butch Davis is completely trying to set up 2 corners ahead.
We'll see if Butch Davis continues his charge. Started back in 9th after our last caution, worked his way all the way back up to 4th. He led 47 laps of this race earlier. Trying to get back to the front here, see if he can get up here and get another late race caution so he can try to fight back for the lead.
Yeah, you just never know in these races, these short track races. We've seen some contact. There's Butch getting into the wall once again, coming up off of 4. And you got to wonder if he started to use up his stuff 50 laps into this run. If the good is gone out of those good years, and he might be slipping and sliding, holding on now.
Yeah, Butch pitted back on lap 53. So he has got over 53 laps on these tires right now as we come across the line. So, and he's been pushing hard. So I think you've nailed it right there. You can see as he gets down in the corner there, that truck's just pushing up the racetrack. He is using up his stuff. He's using his stuff up to get to the front here. I think he was pretty much counting on another caution by now. But we are about to ready to, within the next probably 5 or 10 laps here, start seeing some green flag pit stops.
This would certainly be about the time if you wanted to split this final run in 2. However, the last thing you want to do is make a pit stop, go 2 laps down, and have somebody stay out, and then have that caution happen.
good chance of that happening here on a short track as well. You don't want to be, if you can be the first one to get in and you come out and there isn't that caution, you can make a good undercut here. I think the undercut would be really strong if you can take on some new tires and charge through the field here. But like you said, that's taking a big chance. Somebody makes a mistake, especially everybody out there on these older tires. If somebody makes a mistake, gets into the fence, gets into their driver, and brings out a caution, you're going to get caught with your pants down.
Bob Beltrami, the first one on a lead lap to come into the pits. Meanwhile, Andrew Schulte has re-caught Chris Simard for the race lead. Action starting to happen all over at the same time here. Butch Davis and Ryan Steele have been battling hard. We were watching that. Bob Beltrami comes in to make his pit stop. Going to be the first to try the undercut. Andrew Schulte is trying the undercut in a different fashion, trying to cut under the 77 on the inside of the racetrack. He's going to do so. Clears him. Completes that pass all the way on the bottom of the racetrack. That 81 has found something in terms of how to go fast here.
Yeah, it looked like Simard lost the truck just a little bit in the center of the corner, had to chase it up the racetrack. Schulte able to complete that pass easily, and like you said, I think he backed off, saved his stuff just a little bit here for this late in this second run. And he has just, as we saw earlier when Simard got around Schulte, he kind of drove away a little bit. Now we're seeing just the opposite. Schulte driving around Simard and putting about half a second to a second gap on him real quick.
I'll have to say, if that's what happened, if Schulte decided, hey, my tires are getting too hot, too worn for right now, allowed the 77 to get by him, and let his tires cool down, that is champion thinking right there. That is why he is a champion, because it has worked out great on this side of the run. He's starting to build that lead once again. Andrew Schulte, he's got about half a second as Butch Davis was finally able to get around Ryan Steele. Brian Barnes comes into the pits from 5th place along with Bentley Glazer. Wayne Hutchison and Julian Ritchie have already made pit stops along with John Kenyon.
So let's see who's going to be the first one to pull the trigger out of our top 4. Schulte, Simard, Davis, Steele, Weaver, our top 5 right now. See who pulls down into the pits. I think we're looking, if you come in now, you're going to be able to go all the way to the end. And let's just see how long they push it. Let's see if they can. We saw Beltrami come out. He was the first one into the pits, and the undercut, it hasn't looked real strong for him yet, as he was running about 5th when he came in. So he actually lost a spot. Oh, he actually gained it back from Hutchison now, but he is still right there behind Brian Barnes. So both of those trucks now came in for their last pit stop.
Well, you've also got to consider these guys that are in front of them that have not yet pitted. Oh, caution is out. We've got problems. Julian Ritchie has gone around. And that is exactly why Andrew Schulte, Chris Simard, Butch Davis did not make that pit stop yet.
Well, Ritchie had come in and taken tires on in lap 110. So our top 5 trucks catching everybody else out at least one lap down here with a late race caution. We'll jump back here and see what happened to Julian Ritchie. This is the second caution he's been involved with tonight. Earlier, he kind of
fresh tires on the inside here. Oh, and he just throttles down a little too much and goes sideways coming up off of turn 4.
That's the second time tonight that's happened to Ritchie. He came out with a caution earlier in the night doing the same thing, kind of lost the truck off the corner, got loose. And our first 5 trucks all now going to be able to kind of get a free pit stop here with this late race caution.
Yeah, Brian Barnes, Bob Beltrami, Wayne Hutchison, they're all going to be able to take the wave around. That should get them back on the lead lap. I'm not sure if Bentley Glazer is going to get there in time for it, but that should leave us with 8 or 9 on the lead lap. The only problem with Brian Barnes, Wayne Hutchison, and Bentley Glazer is that they will have to start behind the cars that are a lap down, I believe.
All right, so we're going to take advantage of, we cut the commercial short earlier. We're going to jump over to commercial one more time so the bosses don't yell at us, so we'll be right back.
flag back in the air. Andrew Schulte pulls out to the lead over Chris Samard. Butch Davis up in third. Is he going to be able to get up there with less than 40 laps to go? Well, 40 as they cross the start-finish line. Top three trying to get away from fourth place Ryan Steele. Here comes Butch down to the inside for second. He's going to get a nice run coming up off of that pass. Getting into three. And now only one truck sits between him and the place that he spent most of the first half of this race.
Great strategy by Butch Davis. He got caught out early. Missing a pit stop. Fell back about ninth position, working his way back up to the front. This time he stayed out, timed it just perfectly. That caution comes out, and he's going to find his way right now, battling with Schulte. Davis, definitely the fastest truck on the racetrack. Can he find a way around the 81 truck to take the lead here once more?
Oh, he's hard into the wall getting into turns 1 and 2. Maybe not as hard as I initially thought, but made some contact. He's got a nice run coming up off of 2. He's going to look down to the inside. Schulte tries to block that lane just a little bit. Cut off and pinch his entry. He's going to try to pinch him down on the exit. There's contact.
Schulte fights back up on the outside as they head down into turn number 1 off of 2. Let's see what kind of run Davis can get off. He had to run the bottom line through that corner through 1 and 2, so I don't think he has much of a run coming down the back straightaway, but he is going to take a look to the inside of Schulte now into 3. Can he clear the slider? Not quite able to do it. He cuts it off, and they're tight off of 4. A little bit of contact. Schulte into the fence as they cross the line side by side. Davis and Schulte now fighting it out for the lead on lap 125 of 160.
Big time momentum here on the outside for Schulte, and now he's going to get up into the outside wall. Doesn't look like the 43 put him up there, but definitely that contact earlier, which Davis didn't want to make the pass that way. It seemed like he kind of let the 81 get back in front of him and said, hey, I want to do it a different way.
Yeah, from our views there, as they came off the corner, it looked like Davis, the truck was starting to push up off the corner, but he was able to pinch it off and avoid the contact. And I think maybe Schulte just kind of anticipated he was coming and just let the truck drift a little too high off the corner and caught the fence, and that's going to allow Davis now to get back to the point at about a 2 truck length advantage over Andrew Schulte in second, and Chris Samard back there in that third position.
Well, based on how that last run went, it did seem like Butch Davis used up his stuff. He was trying to get around cars and other trucks, but it definitely seemed like he used up his stuff at the beginning of that run. Andrew Schulte, we saw him get past towards the end of the run. However, he was able to hook that bottom side and just continue to make up time at the end of the run. So I don't think that could have been the pass for the win, but I wouldn't put any eggs in any baskets quite yet.
32 laps left to go. I think there's a long way to go. I think, in the amount of time that I've been covering the WRSRL, Butch is not usually one to hold back. He is going to push hard and let's see. But is he going to use his stuff up here early, like you said, or is Schulte going to be able, can Schulte save his stuff? He was a lot better at the end of that last long run. Can he run Davis down here? Or is Davis just going to get too big of a gap as he's, what's he got here? About a second lead over Schulte right now.
Yeah, getting close to a second at this stage in the game. Seems like a lot. Battle for second starting to heat up, though. Chris Samard and Ryan Steele both right on the tailpipe of that 81. We saw these guys battle it out for quite some time during the last run. Talking about Chris Samard and Andrew Schulte. A couple of wall taps there coming up off of turn 2.
And you can see here from the in-car view here with Samard how he just drives that truck in so much deeper into the corner. But sometimes when you drive that hard into the corner, you can see he catches it, gains about a truck length on Schulte as they get into the corner. But from the center off, Schulte usually has a little bit more of an advantage. Not quite that time. Samard did a good job of holding on to him. So let's see if he can gain some more ground on him in 3 and 4 and put up a fight here for this second position to see if he can find a way around the 81 truck of Schulte.
Yeah, you're seeing a little bit of slip there in the back end of the 81. A lot of slip coming up off of turn 4. He tags the wall one more time. Chris Samard really trying to put some pressure on that 81 machine to set up that pass for second as he watches the 43 get ever so smaller in his windscreen.
You can see Samard right there entered just a little bit higher in the corner than Schulte did. They gave him a run off of 4, and it's going to give him enough of a run down into 1 and 2 here to take a look to the inside.
Oh.
But he has to back off. Samard did the gentleman thing there. I think Schulte kind of came down and blocked that line away from him. Samard knew there was going to be some contact. He lifted out of the throttle, and that's going to cost him a spot as Ryan Steele moves up into 3rd.
I think that's exactly what happened. I'm not sure if they hit or if Samard was able to lock it down before the contact, but either way, would have been disastrous if those trucks were to collide at the moment that they appeared they were going to. Yeah. Ryan Steele, 2nd or 3rd place here, trying to close in on Andrew Schulte. Had himself a pretty good run here, up 11 spots. Trying to get 2 more.
We look back there through the field a little bit. Wayne Hutchison and Bob Beltrami back here fighting it out for 5th and 6th. The 16 truck of David Weaver a lap down, also in the picture here. Bentley Glazier fighting back there in 7th spot. Bentley just hasn't looked him as strong as we've seen him a lot of other races here. He's struggling here at IRP, running back in the 7th spot right now. We look back a little bit further, Dustin Burns and see Brian Barnes kind of. So we've got some lap trucks in the middle of things here. Julian Ritchie's been involved in a couple cautions there in that number 1 truck, trying to work his way, trying to make a lap back up here as he is back in the 10th spot. We'll jump back up here to the front. Ooh, a little sideways action there from Schultz as he got in the corner.
Yeah, he's been doing that a lot so far tonight. Seems to enjoy a loose handling truck, and it's worked out in his favor for a good portion of the night.
Loose is fast. That's what everybody will tell you.
Starting to equalize out on lap times up front the last time around. Both guys ran a 22:27. This time around, 22:28 compared to a 22:31. Talking about 1st and 2nd respectively. Really close to each other on lap times. 3rd, Brian Steele was actually on pace with the leader there. So the top 3, they're all... Oh, Samard with a big slide coming out of turn number 4. Tags the wall just a little bit, but that top 3 is running virtually equal lap times.
Now, these top 4 trucks have been pretty much the class of the field since about the middle portion of the race. We had Lyle Swearingen and Jacob Jensen on the front row for this race early. Both crash out on laps. Where were they at here? They finished looks like about lap number 10. They were both out of this race. And since then, it's came down to the battle between Davis, Schultes, Steele, and Samard here for our top 3-4 spot positions.
And it sounds like Butch Davis, he might be paying attention to the broadcast, because just as I say, things are starting to equalize out up front. He puts another couple tenths on the cars behind him. He's starting to reel in one of these lap trucks, though. See if that throws off his line. Looks to be Earl Weaver in the 46, who's been relatively off pace since an earlier incident. Hasn't really been in anybody's way. He's going to pull down to the inside and continue that trend on for the night.
If you're just joining us, I'm Chris Murphy with my good buddy Liam Erbig. WSR Western States Racing League, Season 53, round number 3 here at IRP. We are with Sim Racing Media, bringing you the coverage tonight. If you've got a league out there, you're looking for some coverage, check us out at simracingmedia.com.
Bit of a wall tap there for our leader, Butch Davis. That's 2 laps in a row where Andrew Schultz has been able to cut a 10th out of the race lead. It's now down to 7/10 of a second, and Ryan Steele is not letting that 81 get too far away from him.
Davis up into the wall once again. He is really losing the handle on that truck in the center of the corner. Pancake the right side of that truck as he is... I don't know if he's having a lot of problem with that dirty air behind the 88 of John Kenyon, but like you said, Schultz reeling him back in right now as Davis has brushed the wall about the last 4 or 5 times.
So Butch Davis entered very close to the 88 to try to get himself the best angle into turns 1 and 2. Unfortunately, the 88 didn't like that. It got him towards the wall and super sideways coming up off of the corner. Might have been contact with second place Schulte. Kenyon up there trying to race with the 77. Andrew Schulte has closed in on the back bumper. It's 2 tenths, just about a truck length separating these 2 trucks with 15 laps to go, 14 when they cross the stripe.
Schulte, as you said, Schulte now up on the back of Davis to see if he's got anything for him. Did Schulte save his tires a little better than Davis? We saw Butch Davis catch the wall 3 or 4 laps in a row. Has he used his stuff up here? You can see he's the truck kind of pushing up in the center of the corner, and Schulte able to drive down off the bottom, make up a little bit of ground on. Let's see if he's got anything going into turn number 1 here on lap 148.
Catching him is one thing, passing is another. However, Schulte's been able to get a little bit more separation between himself and third place Ryan Steele. Here comes Andrew looking down to the inside, just about getting the bumper to the back of the 43. Trying to get him nervous, trying to keep him looking in his mirror more than he's looking out front. He's got more speed in the center, almost gets into the back of the 43, but Davis able to just get a little bit more bite on corner exit. Doesn't allow the 81 to get that run on corner exit, but look at how close he gets through the center of the corner. We've got 10 laps to go the next time they cross the stripe.
Schulte looks.
I think that's 20 more passing opportunities for Schulte. He's looking to the inside.
Schulte with a run down into
Big
3 and 4.
slide.
Big slide in front of Davis. Davis dives back up underneath as they come off of turn number 4 with 10 laps left to go. Davis and Schulte. We saw this earlier. They ran side by side for multiple laps. Let's see if Davis can clear the 81 truck as they come off down the back straightaway.
They touched just a little bit. Slowed both of their momentum down, and now Davis going to try to pull that same slider, getting in. Not going to be able to. Schulte stays with him on the outside, but Davis has himself a run coming up off of the corner. Still holds out of the lead by half a truck length.
Davis going to try to clear him. He's going to try to move up in front. Just not. Moved
he
up the
puts
track.
him in
Just
the
a little bit of
wall.
contact. And here comes Samard and Steele now into the fight as well. Steele now up to second. Davis and Schulte make a little contact. And here comes Steele. They make a little
Steele
contact.
turns Davis. The top 4 have crashed. Andrew Schulte might have gotten away with the least of it.
Schulte going to drive away. 9 laps left to go. We have all 4 trucks on top of each other right there. Ryan Steele just got into the left rear quarter of Butch Davis. Let's see if we can go back and see what happened here. Did Butch kind of come down off the wall a little bit, or did... So all 4 trucks you can see right here together.
Might have to back it up a little bit more to see that initial contact in turns 1 and
Let's
2.
see
But
here. We'll just rewind a little bit here. We're watching it backwards here. I guess I could have just double clicked on it. We'll go from here.
yeah, so Davis and Schulte. Davis is trying to clear Schulte. They both get up into the fence. That allows the 12. Steele gets in there a little too deep, turns the 43 around, and overcorrects himself into the wall.
Just
Nowhere for Samard to go.
Just couldn't quite tell if that was a racing deal there, if they just kind of met in the middle. Was Davis coming down trying to block at the same time Steele was coming up?
Maybe try an overhead shot.
Let's go back and take a look. I'll back that up just a little bit. As I head down into the corner, you can see Steele way down on the bottom. It looks like maybe Steele caught a little bit of that flat part of the racetrack and kind of pushed him up just a little bit as Davis was diving down.
Yeah, Steele was kind of coming up the racetrack a bit more, and just an unfortunate spot for these guys to make contact. Schulte actually doesn't look like he makes contact with anybody after that.
He drove right through there, so Schulte, but somehow Steele is going to have the lead here.
Might be an interesting restart here.
Steele, Schulte, Wayne Hutchison now up to third. 5 laps left to go. Are we going to get the let me see. It looks like lights are out on the pace track.
Yeah, lights are out on the pace car, so Steele's going to stay out. We'll see what kind of damage he's got to his truck. Looks like a pretty hefty impact on the front end. We know Schulte's got speed. He's going to have a little bit of right side damage from that wall contact in turns 1 and 2. Didn't seem to get any impact from that crash in turns 3 and 4. Ryan Steele, Andrew Schulte, Wayne Hutchinson, Butch Davis, and Chris Samard make up your top 5. Things are about to get crazy here with 5 laps to go. Going to be 4 to go when we get the green flag. Steele going to lead them down into the zone. Got a good jump. He gets away. Andrew Schulte goes all the way to the bottom.
I think Steele's got more damage than we thought he did. You can see he is out to
Oh, and Schulte goes around for the race lead.
Did he?
Caution comes out once again.
Looked,
I don't think he hit anything. I think he just got up out of that apron and
it looked like
got sideways.
Yeah, it looked like he just kind of lost it off the corner there. He had cleared Steele. Let's see here what we can find.
There's John Kenyon. He looked to have spun out.
So here we are with Schulte having gotten around Ryan Steele for the lead and just lost it off the got on the flat spot down there and just lost it off the corner.
A fantastic job by everybody to not make that bigger than it was.
But you could see Ryan Steele did not have much pace there on that restart.
No, he really did not. That was a.
You can see the rear cover, rear cover off the tailgate there. That's what I'm seeing. I'm not sure if it's just visual, if that's real damage, but
Well, he really didn't. He really didn't seem to have much for pace when it came time to hit the throttle back down in turns 1 and 2.
Looked like Julian Ritchie was going to run over the pace track there for a second.
Now we're going to set ourselves up for overtime. And now I'm going to assume, since that was the first lap, we're going to have ourselves a single file restart once again.
So lights are still on. The pace track, we're going to go around at least one more time here. So green, white, checkered coming our way overtime. I think Steele's going to do. I don't think he even has enough in that truck to even try to block Davis at this point. He just did not have much pace at all in that last restart. We'll see what happens here.
He was able to get out to a good jump, but it's going to be tough, especially with up to 3 attempts at this green-white checker.
Yeah, Schulte ran him down in a hurry as I got down into turn number 1. Like you said, he did get a good jump. Are we still? Let's see. Lights are still on the pace track. We're going around one more time as they head through 3 and 4 right now. Single file restart. Ryan Steele out in front. Butch Davis in second. Wayne Hutchinson has worked his way up into third. Bentley Glazer, Chris Samar. We looked at Bentley earlier, but first time he's going to find himself up in the top 5 all day long. Chris Samar in 5th. Bob Beltrami 6th. Dustin Burns. Andrew Schulte now in 7th. Dustin Burns in 8th. Brian Barnes in 9th. Julian Ricci, who's been involved in a couple of caution flags here tonight, is finding himself in the top 10. And we got lights out on the pace track as we head off of turn number 2 down the back straightaway for a green-white checkered run.
It looks like I was wrong. This is going to be a double file. As we've got Ryan Steele taking the inside once again. Butch Davis. I actually think Steele took the outside last time, but Butch Davis to his outside. Wayne Hutchinson, Bentley Glazer, Chris Samard, Bob Beltrami, Dustin Burns, Andrew Schulte back to 8th. Brian Barnes and Julian Ritchie back on a lead lap. Pace truck has made its way in. We've got 2 laps to go, 3 attempts at it. Green flag back in the air. Steele able to get away with a bit of a jump. Is he going to hold on?
Steele and Davis both with some damage, and look who the strong truck is here right now. It's a 17 of Wayne Hutchinson, a previous winner in the trucks here at IRP. Davis comes down off the fence. They make some more contact, and we got Davis and Steele now side by side into 3 and 4 as we kind of come off a 4 for the white flag. Wayne Hutchinson looks to be a little bit stronger at this point. Let's see if he can find a way to the point.
He's going to get his way through for second place. Does he have enough time to chase down Butch Davis? Ryan Steele all the way up the racetrack. It's going to be tough. Butch Davis hits the wall. So does Andrew Schulte. Wayne Hutchinson, one last try to get down to the inside. Bentley Glazer looking to the outside for second. But Butch Davis is going to get it done here in IRP. Bob Beltrami around off of turn 4. Along with the 0-4 of Dustin Burns. But Butch Davis wins in IRP. Wayne Hutchinson second. And Bentley Glazer rounding out the podium. Fantastic finish here. Definitely littered with a bit of chaos.
Whew, gotta catch my breath after that one. Butch Davis makes his way back to the front, leading 77 laps of this race. Fell back early, clawed his way back to the front, involved in a late race caution. Gets back to the. I don't think he really had. He was definitely not the fastest truck there at the end, Liam. I think Hutchison and Glazier and Beltrami were all three were faster. But he is going to take home the win. You don't always have to be the fastest truck to win. Butch Davis comes home in first place. Wayne Hutchison second. Bentley Glazier rounding out the podium. Bob Beltrami in fourth. Chris Simard fifth. Julian Ricci, Brian Barnes, Dustin Burns, Ryan Steele fell all the way back to ninth after being on the front row, leading the pack to that restart. Andrew Schulte all the way back to 10th after being out towards the front all night long. Well, we got the action we expected tonight, Liam.
Yeah, we definitely did. We see Butch Davis over here. He's doing a little bit more than just burning it down. He's tearing it down.
All right, just taking a look up at the waiting room. We don't have anybody in there waiting for an interview right now, so we'll see if we can get a little bit of a recap. I don't even remember how many cautions we had at this point. 6, 7 at this point.
I'm not even sure, but
we
had enough to make up for last week too.
After going caution-free last week, IRP a little more chaotic as we expected. We got a race winner in the waiting room. I'll bring him in here for you, Liam. Butch Davis, your winner here at IRP for WRSRL.
Hey, Butch, it's Liam and Chris up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, I do.
Well, I tell you what, man, that was a chaotic race. It's not quite Danny Sullivan, but you got the spin and win done in Indy. How do you feel?
Oh my God, it was crazy. I don't know. Sorry to everybody that I ran into, hit, touched, leaned on, breathed on. Short track racing, maybe at its worst. I don't know. Andrew and I, we raced really hard against each other. It was just crazy early in the race, just going back and forth with him. That was awesome. Unfortunately, later on, rules were slightly reversed, and we just got hooked. And I was full lock left, and we just kept going right up into the wall. That allowed Ryan and I think Chris to get under us, and then Ryan just, I guess, full sent it and didn't hold the line well. And around we went. We all ended up in a pile. It was just a crazy, crazy race, compounded by my stupidity yet again with pit road. Excuse me. 3 races, 3 pit road errors. Texas, I should have won. Sped on pit road. Was running top 5 last race. Sped on pit road. And then, inexplicably, just don't even pit this time. So, yeah, I'm a dummy.
Well, that was you covered all the bases there. I was gonna ask you about the wreck. I was gonna ask you about the lack of hit, but the only thing you didn't hit there was what was it like passing these cars? I mean, you seem to have some of the longest green flag runs of the race to let your tires wear down to get the later run feel. What was it like passing cars, and how did it change throughout the course of a run?
It was definitely difficult. Early in the run, everybody's got grip, everybody's got traction, except for, at least for me, the very bottom of the track. Just seemed like, I think that's what caught Andrew out, was getting all the way down there near the apron, and it just doesn't have grip when the tires are cold. You get a little heat in them, and you can get all the way down there. But yeah, it's just be consistent, try not to kill the tires, and then try to get the run. So I'm pretty sure you saw throughout the race, guys, myself included, just taking different lines into the corner, middle corner, exit of the corner, doing whatever you can to get a run on the exit, so you can maybe get a nose either under or above somebody to kind of just get position and then work from there. Definitely difficult to pass, though.
Well, awesome stuff, Butch. You are an absolute masterclass when it came to IRP tonight, in terms of passing, in terms of leading, and even in terms of beating and banging. Is there anybody you want to thank for such a strong run on that number 43 STP Toyota Tundra?
Yeah, definitely want to thank all my teammates at FBR Motorsports, my sponsors, FBR Simrig Accessories Creation Studio, V&M Simulations, and SimMotion.com. Also want to send out a special shout out. FBR Motorsports lost one of our long-standing, almost 30-year teammates, Larry Edmondson, last week. Hearts are heavy, but we race for him. We race for all of our guys. So we'll see you on the flip side, Larry. Tell his family hang in there. Thank you guys up in the booth. Thank Bob and everybody that puts this league on. And we'll go at them next week.
Awesome stuff, Butch. We appreciate you joining us, and yeah, I'm sure we'll talk to you again at some point next week.
Thank you, gentlemen. Have a good night.
All right, Wayne Hutchison come home in second tonight. Wayne, Chris Murphy, and Liam Irving up here in the booth with you, buddy. Are you with us?
I am with you.
Hey, you know, we called you out early in this race. You were one of the previous winners in the Truck Series here with the WRSRL. You know, we didn't really see you up towards the front all night long, but you found yourself in the top three with a chance to win late in the race. Did you think you were going to be there with about 10 to go?
No. No, I knew I had, the pace for 5, 6, something like that. The guys up front were just too good. But then that last caution sort of shook things up a little bit. Some people pit, some people didn't. I don't know, somehow I came out of that in third. And so those couple of restarts at the end there, it was helpful to be on new tires and on the inside line. So yeah, it made it much easier, although it was kind of chaotic. Those last couple of restarts.
We're watching the replay right now, and as you guys came to the green there on that last restart, you come off a 2, 3 wide with you down on the bottom, a little contact there with you and Butch. I thought you were going to make a charge to the front, but Butch was able to clear you off a 4.
Yeah, he had a better run there. When he tapped me trying to squeeze in between Ryan and I, and so I had to lift just a hair. I don't know if I would have got him anyway if we hadn't had contact, but I had the right spot to be, the inside late in the race. But yeah, he was able to hold it off going around the outside. And, yeah, it's good. I mean, I don't usually do that well in the truck series, if you guys have noticed, and maybe top 10s, but for me, I can figure out the line and get the lap times down. We'll be there. Won't have to worry as much about tire wear.
Well, again, before we let you out of here, Wayne, you got anybody you want to thank?
Well, I guess tonight I'll thank Ryan for staying out on 38 lap old tires at the end there, because I made it fun and somewhat chaotic, like I said. But he was probably going to win. But yeah, he's a teammate, and but he's really good in these trucks, as you can tell. He's up there all the time.
Well, thanks for making it exciting tonight, and we wish you luck next week. We'll see you at Iowa.
Yep, see you next week.
All right, Liam. Let's see if we can get the results here to show up on the screen. Let's see here. We get back to our live timing and scroll back through here a little bit. There we go. All right. Just a hell of an exciting race tonight at IRP, Western States Racing League, round number 3 of season 53. Coming home with a win, Butch Davis, Wayne Hutchison in second. Bentley Glazier going to round out the podium. Bob Beltrami back to 4th. Chris Samard, who was charging up in the top 3 all night long, going to find himself in 5th. Julian Ricci, who actually was involved in a couple of cautions early on, going to come home in 6th position. Brian Barnes 7th. Dustin Burns 8th. I'm not sure how Dustin Burns got into the top 10, but he was kind of out in the back most of the night, but he held on there. Sometimes you just got to stay out there and let everybody else make the mistakes. And so Burns is going to come home in 8th. Ryan Steele, Andrew Schulter rounding out the top 10. Unfortunately, 2 drivers that were fighting for the lead off and on all night long fall back to 9th and 10th. John Kenyon 11th. David Weaver 12th. Earl Weaver back there in 13th. Scott Brown, Todd Miles, Lyle Swearingen, and Jacob Jensen coming home in 16th and 17th are 2 early race leaders with some bad luck early on. Going to come home towards the back of the pack. Scott Kukas in 18th. I don't think Scott really even took the green flag.
I don't think so either.
Yeah. And then back behind that, it's not popping up, but Kyron Brugelli and Keith Kelman are going to round out the 20 truck field here at IRP. What do you think about that, Liam?
Man, that race had everything. It had long green flag runs. We did see a little bit of green flag pit stops. Not a whole cycle, but a little bit of pit stops. Some chaos at the end, and a whole heck of a lot of different, for numerous different reasons. I mean, I think this is... it did get chaotic at the end, and that's not something you want to see every week, but a little bit of chaos sprinkled here and there is a good thing. And I think this is kind of an embodiment of why people watch short track racing. You know, you get fast trucks in a really small space, high tempers, and things definitely get exciting when there's not a lot of time left. So
Yeah, you know, our first 2 races together last week at Dover, green all the way throughout. Kind of having to fill some time this week. It's just nothing but excitement. Like you said, a little bit of everything tonight. So we come back next week, Western States Racing League at Iowa. Sim Racing Media. I'm Chris Murphy. We're in the Tony Trapasso. I always pronounce that wrong. I apologize, Tony Trapasso, to the family and to the group memorial booth. I'm Chris Murphy with my good buddy here, Liam Ervig. We are going to check out for the night. Thank you all for being here with us with Sim Racing Media. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, please do so. And we will see you all again next Tuesday night at Iowa, the Western States Racing League.